All right, so now that you have sufficiently lived up to the lore of the sneaker stunt god here on MSG AM, now let's talk some Knicks. We got some preseason basketball underway since the last time we saw you, Jerry. What was your impression of this young, upstart, feisty squad?
Well, obviously that first game against the Pistons, that whole first quarter, everybody was on Obi watch, and I enjoyed every single minute of it. Look, I'm excited for the young guys. With youth, sometimes there will come some mistakes. Obviously, RJ looked good. I'm looking at RJ right now. It was weird to see that Obi is like one of the older guys on the team, but he's a rookie. I don't know if we ever quite had that in the NBA, but I was impressed with what I saw. I mean, I know it's only preseason, the guys are still getting in shape, but I think Tibbs is doing a great job so far, and I just cannot wait for the season to start because we have not seen Knicks basketball in a long time, so I am ready for it. Bring it.
Yeah, man, one of the big stories coming out of that game, especially with the baby Knicks, is seeing Kevin Knox be a little bit more aggressive, and we start to see that potential that we saw back in that first summer league where he lit the Knicks Nation on fire. What are your thoughts on Kevin Knox's potential and what he could do in his third year in the NBA?
Look, I'm very much in on Knox. I really think it's going to come down to him. Obviously, you look at him and all the tools are there, all the talent is there, and now it's a matter of putting it together. And again, I do think that coaching will be a big thing for Knox and confidence. And it looks like he has it going into the preseason. And yeah, you just look at what he brings to the table. He is what the NBA is today. He could shoot. He's long. He could defend when, in the right circumstances. So I think that this could be a really good bounce back year for Knox, and I'm excited for him. I think he's put a lot of work in.
So you mentioned Obi, obviously 8th draft pick, and then we also snagged Emmanuel quickly in the draft. Kaz and I were discussing earlier in the show, could you see a world in which he plays the point guard spot for this Knicks squad? What are your thoughts, Jerry?
Look, Monica, when I sit alone and just crunch lineups, when I'm by myself staring at the ceiling, wondering about all the different variations of lineups, Quickly has the thing that all NBA teams need. He can shoot. So it's really going to boil down to, the playmaking. Is the ball handling there? Is the playmaking there? I mean, there's obviously a spot for him because he could shoot. But I think he could do a lot more than just that. So, like, as we see off the dribble, if that stuff continues to develop, absolutely. But the Knicks will need his shot, That jumper is a beautiful thing to watch, his beautiful form. So I think it's possible for sure. I think so.
I think so too, man. We'll see tonight when they play the Cavaliers just which way Tibbs goes. Let's break it down to a bigger part of the NBA right now. Vegas odds came out this week on who they believe will be the MVP, and Luka Doncic is the current favorite to snag that award. Give me your thoughts, Jerry. Who do you think is going to win the MVP this year? Do you believe it's Luka? Do you believe it's the field? And if it is the field, who do you got?
I do think it's Luka, and here's why I'm picking him, because he's already shown, even without KP, that he can carry that team to winning. And, MVP award typically comes with that team being, roughly a top 3 seed. He's shown he could do that even without KP. If KP is healthy, then I think that only means easier numbers for him. So I absolutely think if you're going to go that direction on picking, I think you got to pick Luka. I'm sure LeBron will have something to say about that because it's been a while since LeBron's clutched that trophy, and we sort of take him for granted with the MVP vote. But yeah, I would say Luka is justifiably so the leading candidate going into this year.
So we got a fun segment coming up with you on the other side of the break. But before we tap out of Jerry, the sports expertise, let's talk a little fantasy football. We are now in the playoff rounds. Actually, technically, Kaz should probably be asking this question because my team is terrible this year. I'm in my
final four. I'm in my final four of my fantasy football playoffs right now. I got Nick Chubb playing. I got Deshaun Watson at quarterback. I need some fantasy football playoff advice, all right? Is there anybody off the waiver wires that I can pick up at wide receiver, at defense, or something? These are crucial pickups for the last week of the season before the chip.
It's rough goings on the waiver wire right now. I was looking myself because I was in that pretty tough Keenan Allen decision last night. He was banged up and he was on sort of a pitch count, snap count. and I went with Keenan Allen. So I don't know if you should listen to me because Keenan didn't end up playing all that much. The waiver wire is pretty bare, but I would say take a look at some of those Jacksonville wide receivers if you needed a streaming pick, because, obviously Jacksonville's the best fantasy football team, in my opinion, because the teams that they play against put up points, and they've managed to put up points and stay competitive. And we've seen what James Robinson's done. I like to pick games and try to pick players off those games. I know the Jaguars do not have anything going on NFL-wise, but fantasy-wise, look at some of those receivers, Cole, Conley. I think if you were really desperate at wide receiver, and Valdez-Scantling has been available on a lot of wires. He's a bit of a home run threat. And I might be forced to be starting him at flex, but I think it's a good spot for him to make some big plays.
Kaz probably has an existential inner conflict about doing anything involving the Jags, as they are in close contention with his Jets on the tank trail. Waiver Wired is the podcast that Jerry co-hosts with Jen. What is it? It's Jen and Jerry, right?
Jen and Jerry, yeah. And Kat, don't worry. I think you guys got the one pick locked up. Don't worry about it.
Let's hope so, man. We got to keep that tank on the tracks. I ain't trying to lose out on Trevor Lawrence this season, man.